Recorded. Trying to make this podcast dirty. Trying to make that podcast dirty. Alright, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Andy.
How's it going? Normally we record these in the morning. It's a little bit different feel here in the afternoon. It's quieter here, and it's
So we'll kind of see how it goes. It's around 1:30 now. This is usually I guess the time the coffee starts wearing off.
Yeah, I do admit I kind of woke up late today because I didn't have to come in early today, which is a change of pace for me, and just taking a nice kind of relaxing morning. Going through the coffee, reading the paper, and
I was say, lucky for us, we don't have that drop off with the coffee because we just continue to drink it all day.
Throughout the day. Yeah, it's right around bedtime when the final drop off goes. And that is perfect, It just stay caffeinated all day and there's no drop off.
Exactly.
So it's bad.
I would say
do we have a problem?
It's not a problem unless it negatively affects your life.
Well, that's how they kind of define addiction. It's like it's just you have a habit until it starts negatively. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we just have habits. We have caffeine habits.
It's not good. It's not bad. It's different.
It's different.
It's different.
Sad thing is, I think for a lot of people, it's not that different.
No.
Gosh.
No, it's not. But man,
is it?
I mean, we could get into so many different things off of that. Have you heard of this book, Sleep? I don't remember the name now, but it's called Lights Out, Sleep, Sugar, and Survival. I think that's what the name is. Have you heard of
Lights Out? No, I haven't. Sounds like my kind of book, though.
Yeah, it basically just talks about how our circadian rhythms are all thrown off because we don't go to bed with when the sun goes down. We don't wake up when the sun comes up, and we have all our LED lights in bed with us, TV on. So we have all these different things going on that are just keeping us from. They're just completely messing up our circadian rhythm. And continuing to drink coffee throughout the entire day does not help because then our cortisol is all over the place.
Right.
And then we can't fall asleep at night, and it's just a whole kind of negative feedback loop.
It's brutal, man.
Apparently not great.
I don't know. I haven't had trouble falling asleep in a long time. I think it's because in college I put myself in such a sleep deficit. I'm still paying it back.
I don't know if that's how that works.
I've decided that's how it works, but
fair enough.
Yeah, true. Cool, man.
Wait, hold on. We are not going to talk about the weather today.
No, we are
not going to talk about...
This is my theory. If we ignore the weather, it's like a small child, then it'll stop behaving badly. And then we can, have nice springtime.
I think it's worth probably giving it a shot because nothing else seems to be working at the moment.
I'm seriously considering sacrificing small animals, going up onto a mountaintop, doing lots of dances. This has gotten ridiculous.
So is there an anti-snow dance? I know there's a snow dance.
What's the snow dance? It's like pajamas on backwards or inside out?
I think both.
Okay.
I think both.
So I guess, what's the opposite of pajamas on backwards and inside out?
Naked.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's nothing to do, man.
Stay naked.
All right, you've heard it. If you want the winter to be over, all our dear listeners, gosh, that got creepy. Dance naked. All right.
Do not videotape it and send it to us, please. We do not want to see that at all. Thank you.
On that note, we are the Varsity Strength Geeks, taking you places where you never thought this podcast would take you. And it is Tuesday, the 25th of March. This is our
Five.
Wow.
Fifth
podcast. I think that makes us legit.
I think so. Well, does it make you legit if you make 5 and nobody listens?
It's kind of like if a tree falls in the woods, yeah. I mean, we're doing this not just for, the 1 or 2 people who listen, but we're doing this for ourselves. We're doing it to get these ideas out of our own brains.
It's true. There's a lot of stuff swirling around in here.
A lot of them.
And to be perfectly honest, Andy, I just enjoy spending 30 to 50 minutes of my day with you, sitting and chatting.
Oh, thank you.
So it's nice. It's very nice.
Oh, I enjoy it as well. It's good to speak with someone who's like-minded, and it's a good thing.
As I guess unorthodox as our minds work, it is nice.
Definitely. Cool. Well, you have at the end of last week we almost talked about a topic, but you wanted to get into it this week, and actually talking about our caffeine habits kind of gets into that. But you wanted to talk about nutrition.
Yes.
And in particular, high school nutrition.
Yes.
An important subject to many kids and many parents out there as well.
Yeah, and you know, it's such a, I don't want to say complicated in terms of, well, maybe, I guess we can call it complicated. There's so much information out there, first and foremost, and if we're just talking about the average adult, right, they're bogged down, information overload. It's very, very hard to figure out, you know, what you should follow, how you should do it, and there's so many things from the mental side of it too, and I think the mental side of it actually has a lot more to actually play into it than anything else. But then you have, you know, your high school kids who aren't buying their own food, who basically they're at the mercy of their parents.
That's a good way of putting it.
To buy the food. So if they have any, you know, inclination to want to change their diet, they actually have to convince their parents that they need to change their diet. And I've actually sat down with a couple of the parents in our sports performance class and the kids and talked to the parents about this, you know, about nutrition. And you know, it still comes down to, it's still up to them. It's still up to the parents. And so for me, you know, I guess for us, it's kind of a dilemma. You know, who do we try to educate? Do we try to educate the kids? Do we try to educate the parents? Do we try to educate both? What's the best way to go about approaching this so that we can see some change, you know, in these kids' nutrition habits? Because for some of them, it's pretty atrocious.
Oh, absolutely, and I think kind of more than that, you know, you might be able to convince one group or the other, but it really has to be a commitment from both sides to that health. And yeah, it is, you know, high school kids. I remember when I was in high school, I did not have the best eating habits. My general rule of thumb when it comes to eating was eat. Just if there's food, I will eat it. I will consume it until it is no longer there. Doesn't really matter what's put in front of me. It's going to be in my belly very quickly.
I remember my in high school, so you know, my regular lunch would be chicken fingers and fries, French fries. And then when I felt like eating healthy, it would be grilled cheese and French fries.
Oh, good.
So,
grilled cheese and French fries. Very good.
With bacon. With bacon.
Ooh, good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, you know, yeah, like you were saying, eating habits, not the best in high school. Definitely not. And also, I just had no idea, you know?
Yeah.
Really had no idea.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was lucky that my weights coach in high school, Rob McMahon at Montgomery Blair, did a really cool thing where in our weights training, he would have us do a food journal.
Oh, cool.
And we would score it based upon, you know, what kind of, like, a meal counted as a meal that had, like, a main protein, a carb, water, or some, like, healthy liquid, like milk or whatever. That would count as, like, 4 points. You know, junk food didn't count as a point. Certain, like, snack things, just like nuts or whatever, counted as, like, 1 or 2 points. And you'd have to get, like, 30 points a day, basically. That's what you're looking for. In kind of a pseudo kind of zone for idiot high school kids, zone diet for idiot high school kids kind of program. Well, that was really cool, and I became really conscious of, you know, I wasn't always eating the best food, but I was conscious of what I was eating and how much I was eating. And I was playing football, so I was trying to eat a lot. I mean, I had, for lunch, every day, I had, you know, a double-stacked peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
I love giving kids peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Oh, I mean, it's cheap, it's easy, they're delicious, as long as you don't get grape jelly. It's got to be strawberry jelly. And I would just put it back. That would be my lunch. And then before, like an hour before practice, in my last period of the day, I'd have another one, just because, you know, gotta get to practice, gotta have a full tank when you get to practice as well.
That's funny that you bring up peanut butter sandwiches, because I remember in high school, so I was not the thinnest kid out there.
Nor was I.
And we had our strength and conditioning coach who would come to our school and do stuff with us. And I remember one of the skinnier kids who was trying to put on weight, you know, asking her, you know, what do I do to put on weight? Her response was, eat a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I was like, oh, well, okay, I'm trying to lose weight. How should I go about losing weight? Eat a peanut butter sandwich, but eat less. And I was like, okay, I guess.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I was like, okay. So then I started eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but not as many as this other kid.
Right.
And I didn't lose any weight.
Interesting.
Weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's kind of always the go-to. And I still give that to like the little high school kids who I'm dealing with. You know, what can I do to kind of put on muscle? And I think for a high school kid, that is something that, you know, if they want to supplement what they're already getting at home or whatever, a high school kid can go out and buy a whopping big jar of peanut butter and like snack on that at home because they're always hungry.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of does help. Or after, you know, they can set that up. They can have that after a workout. You know, and that's kind of good. Again, this guy Rob McMahon at Blair gave us a little recipe for like your homemade protein shakes. You know, you don't have to. When you're in high school, you shouldn't be going out buying like Isopure or any of that nonsense. No, but he's like, you know, just go to local Giant or Safeway, buy some Carnation instant breakfast, like get some like some fruits or vegetables, and a little bit of peanut butter and some like yogurt, toss it in a blender together. That's a pretty good after workout protein shake. Gives you a big hit of protein and some good like healthy carbohydrates. And after a workout, that was great. It, you know, seriously saved my butt after 2 days sometimes.
Yeah, when you just need to get protein and some calories.
You need to get it in you quick. Yeah,
yeah,
you've been sweating in the summers we have here. You know, 90. You're dying.
Yeah, you know, I think this is a good point in this podcast to kind of talk about our diet recommendations because we're throwing out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we're throwing out a ton.
And
right now.
you know, I want to, you know, for me, you know, I want to let you guys kind of know that, you know, nutrition is a sliding scale.
Absolutely.
There is no, you know, there's always, it's better or worse, not good or bad. There's no two kind of ends to it where it's just one or the other. It's not black and white.
Right.
There's a lot of gray in between. So, that being said, so we recommend, you guys probably heard of it, called the paleo diet. Now, I would like to kind of point out, for me, I hate calling it the paleo diet.
What do you call it?
Well, so that's the problem. See, I don't have a name
Okay.
for it, but if you once you tell somebody, you know, I eat paleo or I do the paleo diet, they think hunter-gatherer, hunter-gatherer. Well, it's the stigma, you know. They think
Right.
You're only going to eat
It's
food.
the fad. It's the cool.
Right, exactly. And when really it's just the science behind it and the theory behind it is very, very rock solid. And, you know, if we just talk about that, then people don't necessarily judge it right off the bat.
So what? Get into that for a little bit. You know, let's get beyond just kind of the name that people might be seeing online or on TV. What is the actual thinking behind it?
So, to I guess simplify it, the point of the paleo diet is twofold. One, we're trying to control our insulin levels. So insulin is this hormone that's going to tell your body to store fat.
Right.
And then we're going to avoid foods that are going to cause an inflammatory reaction in the body.
What? Give us an example of, you know, what a food that would mess with your insulin level would be, and what a food that would mess with kind of. I'm sorry. Just give us some examples of foods that.
Sure. So, basically, any sort of carbohydrate is going to have an effect on your insulin.
Okay.
Okay. This could be breads, this could be potatoes, this could be fruit, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So those could all have some sort of effect on your insulin, and this can signal your body to store fat. And we'll get into it in a little bit, kind of, you know, what's better, what's worse, the sliding scale and everything. But just know if you eat something that has sugar in it, this is where I always like people who are like, oh, you can't eat sugar. Like, well, all carbohydrates have sugar.
Right.
Yeah. They have glucose or fructose, and I'm really going to try not to get too like in depth with this as I go, trying to keep it kind of surface as I'm explaining it. But it also comes down to is any carb is going to have some sort of effect on your insulin, and it's going to tell your body to store fat. The amount of carbohydrates you eat has to be parallel, or has to run parallel with the performance or with the activity that you're partaking in. So if you play football, you don't need as many carbohydrates because you're only working roughly a second. What a play lasts about 7 seconds. Right. Versus if you're a marathon runner, of course you're going to need a lot more carbohydrates. And you can eat paleo. I'm doing quotation air quotes right now, but you can eat paleo and still get a ton of carbohydrates in. So paleo is not also a low carb diet. Right. What was the other question about anti-inflammatory?
Yeah, anti-inflammatory.
Okay, so a food that you guys, say not a food, but you guys have probably all heard of gluten before, right? And gluten is this, it's a protein that is found in a lot of our carbohydrate sources. Breads are a big one, pastas, etc. And this causes your body, this protein, when you digest it, causes your body to attack it, and then we have an inflammatory response to that. That's why people have celiacs and people have Crohn's disease, and people are gluten intolerant because they see this inflammatory reaction. Now, it's this reaction is dependent on the individual, and it's not a one-size-fit-all sort of thing. Some people can touch a piece of bread, not even eat one, just maybe like touch it and lick their finger, and then they'll have some sort of reaction to it.
Oh, I've had friends like that. Yeah.
And some people can just sit there and eat bread all day, every day, and they're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And they don't see anything to it. So it's really dependent on the individual, and your genes and everything. It goes back to that. All right, so that's where we're at right now.
Cool.
All right, so control insulin levels, avoid foods that cause inflammatory issues. All right. Now, there are only 3 macronutrients. All right, there's protein, there's carbohydrates, and there's fat. Right? We've talked about carbohydrates a little bit already. Carbohydrates, right, control your insulin levels. Protein has a finite limit to how much protein you can intake on a certain day. And then fat are going to round out everything else. So when you are creating your diet, right, we want to go enough protein, and the standard recommendation is about 1 to 1.25 your body weight in grams of protein in a day, right? And then your carbohydrate levels are going to be dictated by your activity. Okay. So it could be anywhere from 50 grams all the way up to 300 grams a day, roughly. Okay. And then the rest of your diet is going to be rounded out by fat. So basically, in order to get enough calories into your diet, there has to be a sliding scale between the carbohydrates and the fat. You cannot eat low carb and low fat at the same time, or else you'll be malnourished. Mm-hmm. All right? Because you can't up the protein count. Right? I don't know if you, anybody who takes protein shakes, they probably know of what happens when you have too much protein at a time. It doesn't end well in your bowel movements.
No.
So again, there's a finite cap on the protein. And so this is kind of what, I guess it baffles me a little bit. I get it because of kind of the fear-mongering of fat and everything. But people are just really, really afraid of eating fat. But they also, people are starting to be mainstream that carbohydrates aren't good for you. So then there's this issue of, what do I eat at this point?
Right, right.
So I can't, fats are bad for me, but carbohydrates are bad for me. I know lean meat is good. And that's it. Like, what else can I eat? Lean meat and veggies, So that's my kind of basic rundown of nutrition and kind of what you should eat. And I can get more specific in terms of, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to gain weight, etc.
Well, let's try to break some of this down and translate it for a high schooler or a high school parent who's looking to say, okay, this sounds good. I'm kind of understanding where this is coming. Now, give me some real life application. Explain kind of the protein. You say you got a football player, young football player who's playing. Like, what should he be eating? What in terms of both amount and types of foods? Some concrete examples, maybe.
Cool. All right. So, I would say for breakfast, you come in. Let's give me an example. Give me a height and weight.
So we've got. Let's go with a tight end type. Let's go. We'll say he's 6 foot, 180 pounds. Does that work?
Yep.
Cool.
Perfect. So 6 foot, 180 pound tight end. So this means that he's going to have to eat a minimum of 180 grams of protein, and that's what we're going to want to. Okay. Yeah, between 180 and whatever 180 times 1.25 is, probably like 230, 240. Right. Yeah. So I would say wake up in the morning, nice and easy, 4 hard-boiled eggs, maybe 5 hard-boiled eggs. If he's a big eater, that would probably come out to around 30 grams of protein right there. For this guy, I'd also probably throw in a protein shake as well. In the mornings, that would be an easy way to get another 25 to 30 grams of protein right off the bat. And that would be, it. Maybe for me, I like to make, it's tough because high school kids don't like to cook and the parents don't like to cook, so what can be fast and easy stuff? I'll make omelets, throw a bunch of spinach in there to get some veggies. If I have veggies from the night before, I'll just chop them up and throw them in as well. But let's just say quick and easy, quick, dirty, easy. You go 5 eggs, protein shake.
I like the hard-boiled egg thing because that's the sort of thing you can do that the night before. You can cook, a bunch of eggs for the week and have them ready, and you can just crack them, get them ready to go, nice and quick. And then the protein shake too. In the morning breakfast, a lot of kids are running out the door. That's something they can, just shake up as they're going to catch the bus or going to catch their carpool or about to walk to school. So like that.
All right, so let's say that'd be breakfast. So then for lunch, we're always going to want to start with some sort of meat. And this is where it's tough because, they don't, as far as I know, at least when I was in high school, they don't really sell meat.
No, they don't.
Cafeteria.
Our school systems are still lagging behind nutritionally, at least in the local areas. I think there's some probably places in this country that are starting to get ahead of the curve, but we're still lagging around here.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, the recommendation that I would make, and this is gonna probably be more towards the parents, is cook a little bit more at dinner, in terms of if you're doing chicken or steak or some sort of seafood. Cook more than you normally would so that your kids can take that to lunch with them. To have a nice piece of chicken, and then round it out with some vegetables on the side. Broccoli, asparagus. I love Brussels sprouts, especially cooking them up in some bacon grease. It's delicious. So that would be lunch, and then dinner would be kind of one and the same. Piece of meat, some veggies. Sweet potatoes are awesome, very nutrient dense.
Big fan of those.
They're fantastic. Easy to cook. You can throw them in the microwave. They'll cook up pretty
Do it all
quickly.
the time.
Yeah, and they'll cook up pretty quickly. So, but that would be it. Like I said, it's not necessarily complicated. It's not sexy.
No.
Proper nutrition is not sexy. People want to hear, what special things can I eat, and where's the exotic stuff, and what pills can I take, and what, and it's not like that.
I think
it's consistency and it's simplicity, and that's really the key to success.
I think we've been pitched for a long time that diet is this, like you said, it's very complicated. It's kind of this Lamborghini because it fits the lifestyle. You've got the fit body, you've got the fit diet, the diet coach. That is this very complicated, cool thing that you need a bunch of experts to understand. But really, diet's a Ford F-150, man.
Yeah.
It's just gonna. You get the wheels. You got the wheels. That's your meat. You got the engine, or wheels are your veggies. The engine's your meat. And you got a frame, which is those kind of fats rounding it out, and it just goes. And you just kind of plug it all in, and it just goes forever, and you can take a beating. I think that's really cool and simple. One thing that I know, as a high schooler, kind of going through this, I'd still want some variation. I would want, I gotta get something that's a little different, a little treat. Give me something sweet, give me something salty, some kind of snack. What are any suggestions in that area?
Beef jerky.
Beef jerky's wonderful.
Beef jerky, definitely. If you're not necessarily too worried about losing weight, throw in some nuts, cashews, almonds. I love macadamia nuts; those are fantastic. It's easy to overeat those and just throw back bags and bags at a time. So if you're not trying to lose weight, or if you're just trying to get some calories in, by all means, go to town on them. Those are pretty solid.
Definitely.
In terms of sweet, fruits are good. It's kind of the same thing along with the nuts. If you're trying to lose weight, just limit it to a degree. Just don't go ham on these nuts all the time.
Fruits are not vegetables.
Sorry. Yeah, fruits are not vegetables. Correct.
Right.
And stick more to the berries: raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries. Those are all good bets. What else do we have?
A couple of treats that I love, and this is. I got into this sort of a diet in college. I wish I got into it earlier, but it forced me to, start advocating for my own food and become a little bit of a cook myself. One of the things I really loved learning how to make and get good at, and kind of mess around with spices. One hour making sweet potato fries.
Oh, yes.
That's the sort of thing. Get a bunch of sweet potatoes and chop them all up, pop them in the oven, some olive oil, maybe some rosemary and thyme, some nice sea salt and pepper. Put those bad boys in, and not only do you have a delicious snack for yourself, but your parents are super impressed. It's like, oh, look at this young culinary genius here. You win some bonus points with them as well.
And actually, I like that because sweet potato fries, very versatile. You can go the route you said. You can go more of a kind of a spicy kind of route.
Add a little Old Bay or something like that. We are in Maryland.
You can also go the more a little bit sweeter route and go some cinnamon on there. That's pretty
I haven't done that yet.
I like
that
those.
idea.
Those are actually put cinnamon and butter on my regular sweet potatoes too. Very good.
I like that.
Very good.
I like that a lot.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Oh man, now I'm just hungry. Oh jeez.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. So again, let's go back talking about how. Well, no, you know what? Let's talk about the mental side of things because we just talked about diet is not complicated, right? But then why is it so hard? Discipline, accountability.
Yeah.
Those things are huge, and maybe the information overload has a lot to do with that. It's more of a paralysis by analysis sort of deal, where it's like I know this stuff, but I don't necessarily know what to do, and just keep it simple. Try something, stick with it. That's a big thing too.
Yeah.
People do not stick with the diet. It's the same thing with a lot of fitness programs as well. People bounce around. If they don't see immediate results, then they bounce around. And it's just, unfortunately, that's just not.
It's a marathon,
how it works.
Yeah.
Even if you're sprinting and training, it's still a marathon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then, let's kind of bounce around some ideas. How do you think that we can get to these kids, get to these parents?
How can we reach these kids? I think accountability is definitely something that helps. And it's the sort of thing, a lot of times if kids are looking to, lose a little weight, get in better shape, I guarantee you the parents could, probably want to do the same.
Yeah.
Want to get in better shape. So that's the sort of thing maybe a family can stay accountable to each other.
Yeah.
And, they can say, I don't know if making kind of a food journal is going to be a reasonable thing, but there's so many great apps out there that kind of allow you to track what you're eating, how you're eating. And I know there's some apps that are, applicable to this sort of a diet as well, that you can get out there and probably get for free. And maybe something like that, where you can make it a little family competition. Put something in at the end, maybe it's a bargaining chip for the kids to bargain for some more allowance, or I'm not advocating that necessarily. But, maybe it's find something to compete over. I think competition breeds the best in people.
True.
And then, if it's a team saying, we want our guys to do this, partner up 2 linemen who you want to lose like 20 pounds, get in a little bit better shape, and say, hey, you guys are, going to be accountable to each other, and the winner gets like a t-shirt, something like that. But that allows guys to both keep on each other, and they're going to be pushing themselves and pushing each other.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea if a coach is kind of saying, hey guys, we want you to get in a little bit better shape.
Yeah, no, I like that idea a lot. And actually, something you said back when you were talking about the families just reminded me of, the biggest excuse that I hear from parents when it comes to nutrition for their kids, and even for themselves. It's they'll come in, they'll talk to me. What do I do? How do I change my diet? And we're like, okay, cool. This is what we do. We tell them basically everything we've said already.
Yeah.
And I come back a week, 2 later, talking to them, and how's it going? It's like, well, it's tough because I have to keep all this food around for the kids, and since the food's here, I have a hard time avoiding it.
Right.
And so then it comes down to, and granted, I don't have any kids, you don't have any kids, but when it comes down to it, is you're the parent, and I know the kids, they're going to throw a hissy fit initially if you take away, whatever the kids are eating, their frozen pizzas and
all the sugary stuff. Yeah.
Right. I know they'll throw a hissy fit, and there'll be a big, POA, but you're the parent.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And the kids aren't going to starve, and you know what? They'll eventually eat what you give them,
right?
Or they'll go find a way to get the food somewhere else, but not in the house,
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that's just how it's got to be, If you're going to let that be an excuse, then you're never going to reach your goal. And I'm talking about the parent side of things.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's the same thing, if your kid, that your kid needs to change its eating habits. If it's eating pixie sticks all day, then
not very nutritious.
No, then you just gotta lay down the law, man. And again, we're not parents.
No, it's much harder than that in dealing with
But I've had
teenagers.
it both sides, and I've talked to people from both sides. You've had the parents who've gone all in, who've said, "Hey, listen, guys, we're not going to eat like this anymore. I'm sorry. If you want to go eat at your friend's house, whatever, that's cool." And then eventually the kids buy into it, and the kids feel better, and the kids look better, and the kids' performance is better, and so they're like, okay, you know what, maybe mom's onto something here. And then mom, on the flip side, loses 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds because she's made the correct changes, and all of a sudden the family is bonding around the nutrition and the fitness and everything. We've got a couple kind of families that have done that, and it's been pretty fantastic to watch.
Yeah, it creates a cohesion there for the family unit, and it might start off as we're suffering together a little bit. Then it turns into, oh man, we're really going someplace together. I know my mom and I, when I got into the diet, she saw kind of the results it was having for me, and I was always talking about it and so happy with it. Then she started trying it out, and still kind of pseudo does it, but it got her into. She started getting some like the cookbooks that are focused on this sort of the paleo diet, so to say. For you listeners, I was using air quotes there, air quote paleo diet. And she really liked the recipes, and she was able to kind of really get in and to start cooking some stuff that she had never really cooked before, and started experimenting with different things that she had never used before, and trying to kind of mess with different elements.
Yeah.
So she really enjoyed it from that side. My dad and my sister, well, my sister can eat anything and just be fine, so she just doesn't care, can't be bothered. And my dad just is, he's like, okay, I'm just going to eat what I want to eat.
That actually, two things off of what you just said. One, for you guys out there, do not take nutrition advice from someone who is always skinny.
Right.
Absolutely. They can eat whatever they want. They are not going to be able to tell you what you should be eating. Me personally, when I started eating the paleo diet, I dropped 20 pounds in probably a month and a half, 2 months.
Wow.
So that's how I know that this works for me, and I can easily gain weight if I stop eating the way that I eat.
Oh, definitely.
And I can take it off pretty easily too.
Yeah.
So it kind of fluctuates back and forth. So that was the first thing. Second thing, we keep saying, we do air quotes, paleo diet. It's really got to start being a lifestyle for you.
Oh, absolutely.
I would not say that I am on a diet. I would say this is just how I eat. This is just how I eat, and this is the norm for me. So if I go out and eat a pizza or some wings or whatever, that's not normal for me. And maybe I would say more that's like a binge diet versus this is just regular life. Regular life for me is bacon and eggs in the morning and salad, and if I don't eat that way, that's out of the norm.
I mean, it's the same way for someone who is maybe just has a less healthy diet. If they all of a sudden go for a week and just have eating somewhere really healthy, they go take a trip to Greece and are eating that Mediterranean diet for a week and they feel great for a little bit. That's kind of the inverse of that. That's something that a lot of people talk about. But I mean, I'm the same way. I eat pretty healthy for most of the time. And it's just the sort of thing where I get home and I'm not looking for a stack of Oreos or a pizza. No, I want some chicken sausage and some kale and some sweet potatoes. That's what's delicious to me. My taste buds have changed.
Yeah, exactly.
What I desire is taste. Yeah, of course. My weakness is still Reese's peanut butter cups. I don't know what it is, but that is a deadly combination. Yeah, well, absolutely.
That's why.
But most of the time that doesn't really appeal to me. I am perfectly happy. One of my favorite little treats is if I got some almond butter and some craisins and then some celery, make a little ants on a log, fire ants on a log. Delicious. It takes a little time, and I think that's one of the things I enjoy about it. I have to, actively be involved in the process of feeding myself.
Yeah.
And it kind of, I think if I discovered this in high school and had started doing this in high school, that would have given me a lot of agency and would have given me a lot of kind of control. I would have felt like I had more control over what I was doing. If I was saying, hey mom, I'm interested in eating this way, can you get these foods, and then I kind of go out of my way to make those things, it would feel more personal to me then, as opposed to just reaching into the cupboard and grabbing a bag of chips or whatever and a soda out of the fridge. And that's just kind of, you're grazing at that point. You're just a cow. You're just grabbing what's in front of you.
And I think it just comes down to the psychology of nutrition and how you eat to begin with. When you feel like you said, both of us were a little heavy set, a little overweight when we were younger, and you don't realize the power that food has over you. Yeah. And so you just don't feel like you have control. And then once you know how food affects you and know that you can manipulate that, as it's huge how much you can manipulate it.
Oh yeah.
Then you just feel in control. You feel powerful. You know what? If I gain 5 pounds on vacation, I can take it off. I know exactly what to do.
I mean, it's never a thing of sort of I went on vacation this summer and was eating very differently than I kind of normally ate here. I was trying to stay as close as I could to my norm, just because I like eating that kind of food and that feels comfortable for me. But I wasn't sweating it. If there's a good looking pastry, I'm like, shoot. Why not? I'm on vacation. Treat yourself.
Yes, that was a Parks and Rec reference. If you guys didn't get that,
if you didn't get that, for shame.
Love it.
But there's totally those moments where it's treat yourself. We're talking about. I don't know if are you coming to brunch on Sunday? After?
I am.
We're going on a big brunch on Sunday. I'm not gonna say no to some delicious pastries after this. I've been going, 5 weeks during the open games. I've been going really kind of hard on my diet. calling it diet. I've been eating I've been really disciplined with myself and how I eat, not really cheating that much. But heck yeah, I'm gonna be cheating because yeah, you know, it's one of those things where it's not gonna really affect me once I've made this part of my lifestyle.
Exactly, because you know that you can just default right back to normal. You know.
Right. It's like anything else. If you're really good about doing your homework and going outside, getting plenty of exercise, you know that one day where you're just totally wiped and you just need to sit down and watch SportsCenter, that is not going to ruin you as a person. If you are a really good student and you get 1B on a test, that's not going to ruin you. You can do these things if you have an overall level of discipline, an overall level of fitness, good eating habits, good kind of human habits, like little slip-ups like that, that's not going to affect you. It's when you're on the other side that those little things start compounding. When you already have a low level of fitness, when you already have poor kind of lifestyle habits, when you already have a poor eating habit, that's when those little things, you know, start adding up.
Yeah. And off of that, so, you know, discipline. Do you remember the name of the artist for Dilbert, the comic? Scott Adams.
Scott Adams, yeah.
I just recently read a Scott Adams book. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but it was very, very good. And he talks about...
Underrated comic, by the way.
Yeah, love it. And he talks about systems in life, and how, you know, discipline and willpower are finite, and you run out of them very quickly. And when you focus your time on disciplining yourself in areas that you're going to lose anyways, it's going to translate over into other areas of your life. So for him, he came up with sort of systems, and he talks about nutrition, and he talks about fitness, and these are things that really, really stuck with me, and I thought were really fantastic.
Scott Adams wrote this.
Yes.
Wow.
Scott Adams has wrote like 7 best-selling books.
Wow, I mean, like, so I'm a pretty big comics guy, and I'm into one of his big prodigies who wrote Get Fuzzy, but yeah, he's not focusing on kind of life system. That's it.
I'll give it to you. It's fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah. But anyway, so the 2 that he talked about the most, or the 2 that I'm going to reference that he talked about, were the nutrition one and the fitness one. I'll start with the fitness one first because it was pretty simple, and the other one's pretty simple too. But his whole thing was he knows how positive working out is on his everyday life, and so his basically goal was his only goal for the day. He didn't have to work out. He told himself, I do not have to go work out. All I have to do is show up at the gym and put my gym clothes on, and then if you want to leave, you can leave. So that was it. So he wasn't. So that's kind of, you know, he knew that his willpower can only take him to a point, but he also knew that once the gym clothes were on, he's a little more motivated and there's a higher percentage. But that's all he's telling himself. Just go, put your gym clothes on, and then make a decision whether you're going to stay or go, and that's it. And he said he found tremendous success at continuing to exercise when he did that, and some days he would put his clothes on, and then he would go home. But it happened way less.
That's actually fascinating that you say that, because I know I've had that sort of thing where I can, you know, I mean, I think today is one of those days where I was like, coming in, I put all my gym stuff on, you know, thinking, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to work out today. Just because I'm sore. I was like, no, I'm going to put it on because I'm going to get there and I'm going to be like, no, I can't not work out and have fun. But it's those days where it's like, I'm here, I'm kind of prepared to work out, and now I'm really forced to listen to my body. I've got everything, I'm 90% of the way there. The one thing kind of holding me back is, you know, my body's saying, no, you shouldn't. Then it makes you listen to it. That's a really, I like that a lot.
Oh, me too. And it's been something that I've really taken to heart and something that I'll, you know, make sure that I do. And as you can see, I don't dress in my gym clothes.
But you always have it here,
But I always have it here, and so I just tell myself, go in the bathroom and change, and then make your decision after that.
That's awesome. I like that.
All right, so that was the fitness aspect of it. The nutrition aspect of it, which I also love, and which is very adhesive with the paleo diet, is basically eat as much as you possibly want of the foods that you can eat, right? So eat to abandon meat, eat to abandon veggies, eggs, you know, bacon. You know, basically, for him, he's more on the vegetarian side, which is cool. You know, that's his decision.
I was that for a while.
Yeah, and you know, that's cool, but it's basically the same principles. We know foods have certain effects on the body, and we know, positive and some have negative. So just make a list of all the foods that you can eat to abandon, and eat until you don't feel like eating anymore. You know, because a lot of times we'll sit there and, you know, we'll have the cereal in the cupboard, and you'll be eating, and you'll say, okay, you know, I can only eat this many calories, and then you'll stop, and then you'll be full, and then all of a sudden you'll go grab the cereal because you're out of willpower, and because you're already keeping yourself from eating the foods over here.
Right.
You know, so make yourself the huge piece of meat. Make yourself.
Oh,
tons of veggies, and don't feel guilty about eating all of it or eating as much as you possibly can until you can't eat anymore. The quality of the food is going to be way better. It's going to have much greater effect in the quantity that you eat, and the quality will dictate the quantity that you eat. When your hormones are in balance, you will not overeat.
Yeah.
So those are two systems to kind of keep in mind that just really simplify your life in terms of your nutrition and your fitness.
Wow, I like that a lot. Who would have thought that Dilbert would be so wise in these ways?
Man, it's such a great book. You got to check it out.
That's
I wish I remember the name to tell you guys, but maybe we'll put them in the show notes.
Yeah.
Do we have show notes?
I mean, I kind of been tossing in like the little graphics and some information, so I'll look it up. You text me that tonight. We'll be sure to put it up there. Make some reference to it.
Perfect. All right, cool. I think I've done with my rant.
Cool. No, that was awesome. We've talked some varsity stuff, we've talked some strength stuff, and talked about Dilbert. We've definitely talked about some geeky stuff.
So
hitting through. That was a weird motion there.
Yeah. Were you playing baseball?
I think I was playing baseball until I decided I was a samurai.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. But that's hitting all the topics there. Anything else you want to hit on before we get out of here?
No, all this nutrition talk kind of made me hungry. I might have to go get some meat and veggies.
Sounds good to me. Let's do it then. Let's go get some food.
Cool.
All right, guys. Until next time, we are the Varsity Strength Geeks,
and we are out.
That's how long I've been on ya. Let's get lost tonight. You could be my black Kate Moss tonight. Play secretary on the boss.